Hi guys, welcome back to session 75 of Java Full Stack Made Easy. In this session, we will be talking about what if a bean contains arrays or list. At that time, how are we going to configure it in XML based configuration? Okay, so without wasting time, let's get into the code part of it. So now what I have is what I'm thinking of is that let's say there is a book and the book has what multiple volumes of books are there, volume 1, volume 2, likewise. Okay, so now there is this thing where the volumes can be array of data, right? So let's have the volumes there. Okay, so let's create the string type of array for the volume. Okay, and then obviously for this also we need the getters and setters, so let us generate that as well. Generate the getters and setters. Done. Fine. So yeah, if we want to have a constructor being injected, let's also have a constructor that takes the this one as well. So this is just for what uh, sorry, just in case if in future if we need it, it is very good practice to have the constructor with all the fields. And also what I'm gonna do is this to string that I have created, the to string does not contain the information about the volume, so I'll just remove that and regenerate it so that it comes up with the volume as well. Okay, so let's save it. And now what I want to do is that I want to configure this volumes in such a way that where I have to also provide the value for this in the book. Obviously in the last example what I have done, I have created a inner bean and referred that. So to make it pretty easy and simple, what I'm going to do is I'll remove this inner bean, although I can do that with the inner bean as well, but a clear view will be there if I do it with the book. So okay, only for the only for the clarity I'm doing this. If you wish to do it with the inner bean, you can do it with the inner bean as well, not a big deal. Okay, so here we are done with that, and the property tag has to be closed. Well, that's done. Now what if I have this book that takes number of uh, values? That means that if there is an array, so how am I going to configure that? So in that case, what we can simply do is we can get in again the property. Okay, so the name of the property is volumes that we have declared. Okay, and then the values. So since this volumes is an array, so what we have is we have a special tag defined for that is the array, and then now we can specify the values for it. Okay, so as many as value we give, the size of that array will become that. Okay, so let's say my career, and we can give some values here, uh, like what, let's say my career at the beginning, or maybe at Wipro, my career when I quit the job. Similarly, like I want to have one more value, my career when I started my YouTube, something like this. Okay, so I'll just save it. So what I have done now is that I have created an array there, and then initializing the arrays. So this is how we initialize the arrays, and obviously the next thing would be what, retrieving this particular bean in the service and checking out the values that are there. So this way we can configure it, and you can simply go ahead into your service. You have the library, and then inside the library we are printing the library instead of the library. Now obviously the library prints up everything, so let's go ahead and see that. Now when it comes to the book, you can see that the volume says at Wipro when I quit the job and when I started my YouTube. So that way you can simply initialize, create the arrays and initialize the arrays. Fine. So I hope this particular concept is easy and very much comfortable with you guys. That is simply what you do is you give the property whatever your array property name is. In my case it was volumes, and then define an array, and specify as many number of values as you wish over here. Fine. Now what I'm gonna do is I'll share this spring.xml with you. Let's go to the repository and create a new repository, call it as day 75. And this is our demo one array in bean. This is the configuration, and before the configuration we will change up the model, and rest all thing remains the same itself, right? So what model is changed? Our book model is changed, where I have included a uh, array, and the service is same itself. Service does not change, but still I'm giving you the service. Now what if I have maybe a collection, right? Let's say library has books. In the previous example, book has volume. Now library has books. Okay, so now how am I going to configure when the library will have books into it? Like in the previous all previous examples, what we did was we just had there was one single uh, book that was there in the library. Now what I want to have is I want to have the library with the books. And how are we going to configure this library with the books? Okay, so let's see how are we going to do that. What if this is a collection of books available here? So let's go ahead and configure our library and then see how things work there. So I have this book, and let's say this is a list of book. What if we have a list of book, or maybe we have an array of books over here? Okay, so how are we going to configure these sort of things into our application? Okay, so let's just see that. And obviously we have to change the getter setters and everything. So let's have that. Let's configure it that way. So we have this array of books available. Generate the getters and setters for this as well. Done. And then we need to have what? We need to have the toString constructor with argument. Default constructor we have already created. Okay, constructor using field. All done. Looks good now. So now the library has books. So let's go ahead and configure the library now. So library contains the array of books. So we must have multiple books being created first. So let us create more than one book. So that was the above book that we have created, and there should be one more book. So let's create that as well. Let's call it as book 2. I'm not changing anything in the book except the ISBN. Rest all let it be as it is. So only based on the ISBN we can identify that. And what we have is we simply have the two books we have created, not more than the two books. Okay, so I have created multiple books now. This is the book property which I want to configure, and let's remove this now. So what we did in the previous example, when we had a string type of array being created, we created an array and created the uh, values of the array. Now here we are going to refer to some bean, right? So refer bean, which bean we are going to refer? So there was a book bean that was being referred, and there was one more bean that we referred, right? And which was what? We can simply close it like this. And one more is book 2, I think. Book 2. So two beans I'm referring. Let's just save it, and now let's see how things work here. So you can see that there should be now two books. One is my career, ISBN 50. Another one should be ISBN 55. Okay, that way we can configure this. We can also create list of books, and then based on that, instead of this array we can simply specify a list here, and then we can keep referring those things. So that way if we have a collection, then we can perform this. So let me first share this with you guys, and after that what I'm gonna do is we will try this with the collection as well. Okay, so let me first copy this, which is our spring.xml demo 2 bean array, where we have the array of beans itself. Multiple beans are created and the array beans are being created, right? So that way we are configuring that. Fine. So now let me, before this, let me also share the library that I have modified. So this library class is modified. Done. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I will just change this library from an array to a collection. Okay, and see how things work there. Now this was book there. Let's change it. Let's call it as list of book. Let's call it as books. Once again, let's change the getter setters and everything. Let's generate everything in here. Okay, getter setters, constructor, and lastly a toString. All done. So now let's go to the Spring configuration. So instead of this property name book, the property name is books now, right? So I've changed the property name. Let me just once again cross verify that. Yeah, so that is books there. All right. So now I've referred both the beans in the list. So let's call it as the list. Okay, let's save it and let's go to the book service, run it and see the detail. Now two books I have created, so you can see that both the books are added. So that way you can even have a collection, and then based on the collection you can configure your uh, beans. Okay, so I'll share this as well with you, where I've just changed the array to a collection now. So this is going to be our demo 3 list of book. So as many books you have, you keep giving the references, and you can either you can give the references, or there itself you can create the inner bean as well. So XML based configuration allows you. So if I don't want to just give a reference here, if I want to create a bean within this, I can create a bean as well within that. So that is also possible. Inner beans can be created, but this would be a clearer way of doing things. Fine. So in this case also what I'm doing is whenever I specify this refer, this is the concept of bean wiring itself. Okay. So connecting one bean with another bean is called as bean wiring. So this bean wiring can either be done manually. That means if I wish to do that bean wiring, I can do it. If I want Spring Container to perform wiring for me, Spring Container can also do the wiring for me, and that concept is called as auto wiring of bean. And that's very interesting part, auto wiring of bean, where we let Spring Container decide what bean is dependent and how it is going to inject the bean. So in the next session we will be talking about how we are going to perform bean wiring, and also we will be talking about the bean scope. Okay, and obviously what we are going to do is we will finish off this XML based configuration. We will start with the Java based configuration, and when you see Java based configuration, a lot of code will be reduced, and when you see Spring Boot, at that time most of the configuration will be gone, because Spring Boot is auto configured. So if you are liking in the series, please share, comment and subscribe to my channel. So see you in the next video. Thank you.